And for every team jumping on top of the dog pile, trying to get to the Smite World Championship, trying to be at the top, there's a team that's defending that spot. And this year, primarily, it is Pittsburgh Knights. First up, the ADC Zapman. If someone else is Smite's Goku, this is Smite's Vegeta. We're talking montages, clip after clip after clip, of this guy fragging everyone. Low levels, high levels, indiscriminately. Ranked was his training ground. And the world watched with mouths wide open. How could someone be this good and not be a world champion? Depending on who you ask, that in itself was the issue. When your playstyle is such a spectacle, everyone's watching you. If everyone's watching you, everyone's eventually gonna learn how you play.
So what's gonna happen here is he throws his axe, and I'm not going to use my tiger form because I know 100% in my mind that Zap is gonna dash back in to go for the Mercury, because that is who Zap is. Zap is an aggressive player, and he's always looking for big plays.
In SPL, I've learned after everyone started getting really good, because in Season 0, the game was new. No one was really that good at the time. And it was kind of a rude awakening, and all these players got so good, and they were just kind of fighting back. Sometimes I remember feeling like I can't go in against this guy, and I'm like, oh, shit, you know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? Like, am I doing less damage than them? Or like, I'm like, wait, what's going on? So I kind of learned to do the small stuff better, I would say, like, go get back Harveys and try to get, instead of poking the other guy and all that kind of stuff. It's not always going to, going to be a solo kill, or it's not always going to be advantageous for me to go in.
Fielding a team that could also play around him was rather difficult, as he was a bit headstrong in his approach. Finding players who could respectfully butt heads with him and tone him down was as impossible as finding players who could keep up with him and go alongside his fire. So for a few years, being a world champion was out of the question until he learned to play nicer with the other kids. That eventually was refined. He started qualifying for Worlds more, however. There was still a fire in him. He needed players who could help him with that fire.
Through, but the beads will prevent the stun and the knockup. And now Zap forces keep the aggression going.
What a sick play, but I don't know if they're going to have enough. Twig is going to fall.
Down goes Captain Twig. Zap's still alive.
Level lead once again. You can feel the momentum in his favor.
Now Zap on this left-hand side, forced to beads. Still has an Aegis if he needs it. Pillar comes into play. Desert Fury to try and put folk damage back out. And Neil's doing good work on our kill. And Zap gets the kill. Doesn't get away with the airstrike. But what can Zap do now?
Zapman pounding rival in the jungle. That's popping off right there for Zap.
He found them, and he found himself a world championship alongside solo laners Scary D, Belair, whatever you want to call him, depends on the day. In his rookie year, he was brought in to play alongside Barracuda and Jeff Hindla, the first world champions. Those were some big shoes to fill, considering they were worn prior by Baskin, who had a stellar Season 2, at which time he was considered the best player in the world. But be it lack of experience or poor timing, it's never a good idea to try and be somebody else. He stayed under the shadows for quite some time, and it wasn't until last year that he put his own name on the map. His own style, his own flair, and at the Smite World Championship last year, Achilles became synonymous with Belair.
Pressure here, walks into the jungle.
That shield's
just about, but the detonation damage is good. And so in the back with a fear no evil. That's a double kill now for Belair.
And Belair's not even close to done. Chasing out Arkil. It's a triple for Ronnie.
But can he get a quadra? No, Zap says not right now.
Was it the character? Was it him? Was it good timing? Or is it just his playstyle nowadays? That's discussion for the team section as we go to the support, Neilma. He got into the SPL a few years ago, and it didn't make too much ruckus. Probably the thing that stirred up the most conversation is he became Zapman's support. That's a conversation in itself, as he tends to chew up his supports and spit them out. Either you never hear from them again, or they go on to become world champions. Put on your tinfoil hat, your tin three-piece suit, because the last 3 world champion supports have been on a team, have gotten their breakthrough into the SPL on a team with Zapman. But this time around, they were actually on the same team when they won. And they did it alongside the mid laner, Paul. Yes, Paul, like Cher, like Madonna, just Paul. Relatively new to the scene. If anybody knew how good he was, it wouldn't be because of the SPL, but it would be because of how much he loves Duel. That's his training ground, that's his dojo, that's his danger room. A little bit of Joust as well. He prioritizes his mechanics over everything else, and boy does it show. As the community constantly whines everything's broken, everything's overpowered, I'm confident that there isn't a single character in this game that could not be put down by a top tier team, except for Paul's Hell. Hells come and go through the meta all the time. Other people play Hell, and they just fall apart. In the SPL, he's seen his losses on his Ul, his Habois, Persephone, Morrigan. I don't think he's lost a single game as Hell. Maybe he's got her figured out in a way we don't, or maybe he just is really good at picking her into certain compositions. And then the jungler, Cuvo Fred, new to the team, not new to the league. He's always been a consistent player near the top, but not at the top exactly. There's the question as to whether he has that consistency to continue growing. A great player can lead a team, will be impactful wherever they go. A good player is sort of at the mercy of whatever they end up with. After this team won the Smite World Championship, Sam for Soccer stepped out, TheOtherFrost stepped in. Is he going to have the same impact that Sam did? Is he a great player, or is he only a good player at the mercy of this roster yet again? And aside from him, this is the team that had the dark horse run for the World Championship. Was it the element of surprise, or was it some sort of disrespect that they had for this team? Zapman's known for over-aggressing, overstepping, and then getting knocked out. At the championship, he was way more calm and collected. The enemy ADC was the one getting baited into a 2v1.
Just understand that he can take 2 tower shots and not worry.
Leaping from our kill, and you don't know Neil Mars here. Desert Fury to avoid the block up. Was Zap in trouble? Or is he? Zapman gets another kill, and it's Neil Mars that does most of the work there. Or is it? Because Zap did a good job baiting.
Good bait. That's just that's a good old-fashioned Zapulation right there, ladies and gentlemen.
People weren't banning Paul's strongest character as if they just didn't believe that he was that good. Scary D was dominating on Achilles. Neilma was running the game alongside the jungler. Are they going to be able to do that again this year? People are still overstepping on Zap. People are still refusing to ban out Paul's hell. But maybe a world championship has inflated their egos a bit too much, as they still have that mentality of, we don't care what you're going to do, we're just going to play our game. But teams aren't letting them play their game, as they're about middle of the pack this time around. I usually ask a question for each individual player, but this time around it's a blended storyline. Are they going to be able to repeat their success, or are they going to crumble now that the spotlight's on them? Tune in to the SPL on Friday, Saturday, Sunday to find out as these players battle it out to become the gods they were meant to be.